All right, in this class, we've decided that we're going to use Python. As I mentioned earlier, that may not be the best tool to use to answer your question. For this 10-week period, that will be the tool that we will use. So, how do you get Python? Well, to start with, I've given you a link right on the Canvas syllabus homepage to download Python and some other Python IDEs, Integrated Development Environments. I don't care which tool you want to use, which Python IDE you want to use. It's completely irrelevant to me. That's up to you. Whatever you feel most comfortable with. I tend to use something that's very similar to RStudio. I'm a R programmer first, and now I'm learning Python as we go along. So you can go to this website and you can start to download and get access to all the different IDEs in Anaconda. So this is where you'll look, come in here, download, put your information in, all that good stuff, and this will give it to you for free. So what do you get with this? Well, you get this Anaconda Navigator, and there are different things that you can install and different things that you can launch. Right? I tended to like Spyder. Right? So this is the scientific Python development environment. So that was the IDE that I liked. Other classes, they want you to use Jupyter Notebook. Again, don't care. Your decision. So in my case, I use Spyder. Now, what you'll see when you load this, when you install it on your computer, you're going to have a little folder here for Anaconda 3. This is what I loaded, it's 64-bit. And you'll see a few of the Anaconda Navigator, which I have open now. You'll also see Jupyter Notebook, Spyder, etc. So you can either launch it from your start menu, or you can go into Anaconda Navigator and launch Spyder from here. And so what I'll do is I'll launch it from here. So in launching Spyder, and we'll give this a second to open, you're going to see, I think it's already open, that's good. You're going to see Spyder, and this is Spyder. And this is what it looks like. All right. And as we move forward and start bringing in new scripts, we'll start getting a little bit more familiar with this. So a couple of things that I want to point out. You'll notice that when you put a hashtag in front of anything, it turns the code gray. If I take that away, it's now live code. And you can see there's a little X here. That says you've got some kind of unexpected problem going on. Well, the reason is this is not code. So I'm going to put my little hashtag back in there. And now what it's done is it's told me I'm now documenting something. Another way to also document things, I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't like that, is with 3 quotation marks. So anything that's within these set of 3 quotation marks is also a, you can type whatever you want in here. So you'll see from, when I open up script, you'll see I've got in here, I don't care about that. You'll see author of my scripts, Charles Baim Aldred. And then I'll have some writing in here that describes what's going on with a particular script. You'll also see individual script lines, and you may see this pound, percentage sign. What that does is it creates a cell. Now, I can run an individual line, run a current selection or a current line, or I can run a cell, a current cell. And you'll notice right under here in the description, it's pound percentage to create the cell. And so what will happen is I may end up having several lines of code under here. And if I go to here and hit run this cell, it will run all of this code that's within that cell. If I want to create a new cell, pound %%, now I have a new cell. And I'm going to have code within that cell. If I want to be in this cell, I can run that cell, or I can run this cell. So you'll see that as well. Up here, you'll notice that for me, it gives me this C:, users, cbane. That's the files where, or that's where it's pointing as far as where my files are. If I want to change that, and here at home, I'm going to change it to where I have my data files. My data files are located in this F drive under the Hub of Analytics Education, Data Creation, and say Bivitor. And maybe I want to pull the data for June 2021. And that's the folder. So now I've changed where my data is, so that if I put in a piece of code to read in a data file, I don't have to put in this entire piece of the path. I can just put in the file name and it will go to this path. If I don't change the path and try to run this code, it will tell me I've got an error. Other things to look at. We've got our help screen here, Variable Explorer. So as I read or create new variables, the variables will be listed here. And if I wanted to look at maybe a lot of data, I could click on one of these lines that shows up here, and it will open up the data so I can look at the data. It also, if I have certain visualizations, it'll show me the different visualizations. It'll show me the current visualization, and it will also show me all my previous visualizations. And I can also look at my files. And here are all the files that are in this particular path. These are all the different files that exist in there. So I can see the different file names that are available to me. Down here, this is pretty important, this console. What this tells me is, right now, if I ran a piece of code, the in1 would be the first line of code that I read in. Then it would give me out1. It would tell me what was the response for that particular line of code, so on and so forth. So if something goes wrong with my code up here, I'm looking down here to see what are the error messages, what's going on. And I can always look at my history for all of the stuff that I've done before. And so this is all of the code that I've run before in preparing for this particular class. So just kind of give you a little bit of an idea about what's Spyder. And I like this because I can come up here and I can open up an old script that I had saved. Like this one, and I can go here and I can run this particular cell, which will run all of that code. I like that versus Jupyter notebooks, where I would be typing in that line of code, and then this line of code, and after I return it, it would tell me exactly what the outcome was. So I like Spyder, but that's just me. You will see all of the code that I've written can be opened up and viewed very easily in Spyder. It is not cannot be opened up and viewed very easily in Jupyter Notebook. So if you want to look at this code and transfer the code that I've written into Jupyter Notebook, you need to open it in Spyder, or you can open it, I think, as a text file. Let's give it a try. And I'm just experimenting with this right now. So let's see if we can open up a text file. Let's see if I can open up one of these Jupyter Notebooks, or one of the, not Jupyter Notebooks, but one of these codes. Let's open up the one that I just opened and see what it looks like. There it is. So here's my code. And these are my code pieces right here. So you can open it up in Microsoft Word as well and take a look at the code that I have. If you want to retype this or copy and paste it into Jupyter Notebook just to see how that would work, you're more than welcome to do so. So I use Spyder. You can use Jupyter Notebook. If there's something else you'd rather use, go ahead and use it. I do not care. Whatever you do use, you need to provide it to me. So when we're talking about the project in the second week, when I'm kind of lining this up, your code is going to help me see whether or not you took your documented logic and you were able to articulate it well in your code. I also want to make sure that you are documenting either using the hashtag, trying to do this here. For some reason it's not. Having a hard time. This is not working right this second. So open back up Spyder again. Get this. Okay, so whether or not I'm using a little hashtag here. Seem to be having a problem right now with my, but that's okay. Using either the hashtags or other things that you've got in here. Here we go. Whether you're using a hashtag to document some discussion, or whether you're using these triple, the 3 quotation marks. Either way, that's what I want to be able to see that. So make sure you're documenting well in your scripts, and if you're using Jupyter Notebook, also use the proper scripting as well. All right, well, that's what I want you to be able to do. You should, by the second week, you should have figured out which IDE you want to use and have that loaded on your computer. I think the lab computers also have Python loaded. I don't know what they use for a IDE, whether they use Spyder or whether they're using Jupyter Notebook.